Splish, splash, splosh. It had been raining and pouring on the Island of Sodor. The engines were splattered and sploshed with mud. Thomas liked the rain. It splish-splashed on his boiler and pitter-patted on his paintwork. Thomas and Rosie had biffed and bashed all day at the shunting yards. Now it was time to go.
Come on, Rosie. I'll race you to Tidmouth Sheds.
The two friends puffed along the tracks, straight through a very big puddle.
Whee!
Thomas and Rosie were splashed from footplate to fender in muddy rainwater.
That was fun.
Then an idea flew into Thomas's funnel. Thomas reversed slowly. Then he pumped his pistons.
Here I come, Rosie. Splish, splash, splosh.
That's a good game. Here I come, Thomas. Splish, splash, splash.
Muddy water splattered everywhere. Then the Fat Controller arrived. He had some important news.
Alicia Botti is to sing at a concert in the town hall. The concert will be followed by a grand tea.
That's exciting.
What fun!
Thomas, you must go straight to the washdown. Then you are to collect Miss Botti and myself from Dryall Station. We will be waiting for you.
Yes, sir.
Rosie, you must collect Annie and Clarabelle and take them to Dryall for Thomas.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
See you later, Rosie.
And Thomas and Rosie chuffed quickly away. Thomas pulled up at the junction to the washdown. He saw a very big puddle on the other track. Charlie was waiting right by it. He was very muddy.
Splashing Rosie was such good fun. I'm sure Charlie would like my game too. And I'm sure I have time for another puddle before the washdown.
So Thomas didn't take the track to the washdown. He took the track through the middle of the very big puddle.
Here I come, Charlie. Splish, splash, splosh.
Bust my buffers! That's a good game!
Thomas huffed happily on.
Hooray! This is fun.
Now Thomas wanted to find more puddles. He couldn't wait to play his game with the other engines. At the next junction, Thomas waited to chuff left to the washdown. Then he saw a very big puddle on the right track. Emily was waiting.
Emily's muddy already. I'm sure she'd like my game. And I'm sure I have time for another puddle before the washdown. Here I come, Emily! Splish, splash, splash!
Muddy rainwater had splooshed all over Emily and all over Emily's flower trucks.
Fizzling fireboxes. I have to take this flour to the bakery to make the cakes for Alicia Botti's tea. Now Thomas has ruined it.
Thomas didn't know he had splashed Emily's flower trucks.
This is fun! Splish, splash, splosh! I'll soon need a wash!
And Thomas chuffed on, chuckling. At the next junction, Thomas waited to chuff to the washdown. Then he saw a very big puddle right beside James.
James is muddy already. I'm sure he'd like my game. And I'm sure I have time for just one more puddle before the washdown. Here I come, James! Splish, splash, splash!
And Thomas steamed away laughing. Muddy rainwater had splooshed all over James and all over the ripe strawberries on his flatbed.
Blistering boilers! These strawberries were for Alicia Botti's cakes. Now they're ruined.
Thomas didn't know he had splashed James's strawberries.
This is fun! Splish, splash, splosh! I'll soon need a wash!
And Thomas puffed on, happily. Thomas chuffed up to the next junction. Now it was getting late.
I know there'll be a very big puddle along the track by the river. I'm sure I have time for one last puddle before the washdown.
So Thomas took the left track that went along the river. Ahead of him, there was a very big puddle.
My, this is the biggest puddle ever. Here I come. Splish, splash, splash!
Then there was trouble. Muddy water flew high into the air and splooshed down all over Alicia Botti and the Fat Controller.
Thomas!
Thomas screeched to a stop and reversed slowly. He saw that he had splish, splash, splashed Alicia Botti and the Fat Controller.
Cinders and ashes.
Look what you've done to Miss Botti. She's soaked. Also, Thomas, I hear from the dairy manager that you ruined the flour and strawberries for Miss Botti's grand tea. This is a disaster.
Thomas felt terrible. He tried to puff forward, but he couldn't.
Oh, no.
The big puddle had put out his firebox.
This game isn't fun anymore. It's all gone wrong.
Then Thomas heard Rosie's whistle.
Rosie, please help me. I've splish, splash, splashed into trouble.
Oh dear, Thomas. Of course I will. Don't worry.
Rosie heaved and huffed Thomas onto dry tracks.
With my dry coal, Thomas, your boiler will soon be bubbling.
Thank you, Rosie. Now I can't go to collect the Fat Controller and Alicia Botti. Would you take my special for me?
Of course I will. I'll go right away.
Later, Thomas was once more steaming happily. He pulled up at a junction. There was a very big puddle on the right track.
Look at that big puddle. It's perfect for splish, splash, sploshing. No, I'm not going to splish, splash, splosh anymore. I must make sure that Alicia Botti's grand tea is on time.
And Thomas puffed along the left track to the bakery and away from the big puddle. Thomas arrived just as James and Emily had delivered fresh strawberries and flour to the bakery.
Your silly game means we'll be late for the concert.
No, you won't. I'll wait here for the cakes. Then I'll deliver them. You can go to the washdown. Then you'll both be clean for the concert.
Thank you, Thomas.
Now I'll be shiny and best, and gleam more than the rest.
Thomas puffed in with the fresh strawberry cakes for the grand tea.
You're just in time, Thomas.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry I caused confusion and delay.
Rosie puffed up to Thomas.
I found another puddle. It's perfect for our game. We can play again.
No, thank you, Rosie. I think I've done enough splish, splash, sploshing for one day.